Hello and welcome to the Walk Off, everybody. I'm Scott Belford, joined by Matt Cernaka. This is Mailbag, a Monday morning mailbag on a Tuesday afternoon, and it's actually being released on a Tuesday. Hey, everyone. So before we get into today's mailbag, I do have a quick announcement, and that is that the Walk Off, as you know it, is going to be coming to an end. I truly do believe that the walk off is Adam Mack and myself together. And without the two of us, it wouldn't be what it is today. Adam Mack is needing to take a step back from it. He can't commit to the time like he was able to. And I mean, my goodness, we are well over 500 episodes. We're well over 1 million views on YouTube. We have hit number one baseball podcast in the country numerous times throughout the years. We're over 5 years in now. It has been a wild ride, and I love doing this with my good friend Adam Mack. So, with him stepping away, it only feels fair that this changes. Whatever the iteration of the walk-off you're seeing now, it is not going to be this moving forward. Now, I will say this. I freaking love baseball. I love the Blue Jays. I love making content. I love the walk-off community that has been created, and it wouldn't be what it is without you folks, the listener, the grounds crew who have been here through thick and thin. I know we've got new folks on board right now who are listening to this who might be a little surprised. I know we have people who have been with us all 5 years and maybe saw this coming with Adam being less involved over the last year. So basically, what's happening is Friday, we are going to do our final episode, walking off the walk off. Adam and I are going to sit down. We're going to reminisce. We're going to talk about the journey. We're going to talk Blue Jays baseball. We're going to celebrate the success that the walk off has been over the last half a decade. It's crazy to say that. And I hope that you all tune in. So, all of this to say, I want to give a very hearty thank you to all of you folks. In any way that you have contributed, I hope you know that it means a lot. I also hope you know that this decision, it wasn't taken lightly. Um, it actually kind of chokes me up a little because I have put so much into this thing. And I know that a lot of you have put hours and hours, probably hundreds of hours, some of you, into listening to us two boneheads talk Blue Jays baseball. And I will forever be genuinely thankful for that. I know that some of you reach out on DM regularly. I know some of you have come to live shows, to Baseball Town. Some of you have come to comedy shows. We have people and listeners from all over this country, and it has been just such a wild ride building this community. And so that's why I'm going to continue to make content, is that I really do love the community that has been created. I'm not 100% sure what this is going to look like. There's probably a name change, some direction changes coming. You, the listener, I want to hear your thoughts on it. So feel free to reach out if there's something that you want me to focus more on, if there's something that you had an idea for, whatever it may be. All of this to say, again, thank you very much, everybody. I do truly appreciate you, the walk-off listeners. This would not be any fun without you. And Adam Mack is the king. He's the best damn co-host in the biz. And moving forward, whatever I do after this, I will always greatly miss our baseball talks, and I'll twist his arm to try to get him on whatever new is done. Again, December is probably going to be a darker month for content. You know, I'll try and get one a week out type of thing, but stay tuned on the YouTube. We are keeping the infrastructure together, whatever the change may be. We'll let you know come the new year. Anyways, lots of love to you all. Hope you enjoy Mailbag here, and we'll see you on Friday. Cheers. Look at that, Matt. Just like we claim.
We're on time.
We're on time.
Still short by a day, but on
Rarely
time.
seen on the walk off, but we're on time. Really appreciate all of your interaction over the last couple weeks. I know we missed out on a mailbag last week, so this one is a little bit bulky. So bear with us as we get to as many as your questions and comments as we can. You can always reach out on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast. We're on Blue Sky now, the Walk Off Podcast. We're on Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. And of course, you can drop your comments on YouTube as per usual. We comb through as many of those as possible. Patreon, a big tip of the hat your way. Thank you so much. We could not run the channel without you. Patreon obviously gets the Patreon bump. Automatically, they get into the mailbag if that is what they're after. We're starting with Patreon. So this is from Marcus G. Now, listen, folks, some of these questions are a little lengthy. I am reading the full questions because we did miss out on last week's. Try to edit and abbreviate if you can moving forward, but for this one, you're getting away with it. You're getting these full novels of your questions in. Starting with Marcus G. He goes, with Vlad signed long term and a good farm system, sustained competitiveness seems like a pleasant likelihood. However, 2026 seems like the end of an era. Gosman and Springer contracts expire at the end of the year, and there's a chance Jose Barrios will not be back in 2027. How much emphasis is being placed on 2026 as a win now year? I asked this in context of big name Japanese players posted, namely Imai and Murakami. Historically, Japanese pitchers need a full year to acclimate in MLB. Very good point. And there is a lot of swing and miss with Murakami. Will this cause the Jays to maybe gravitate towards the higher floor Japanese player, Takahashi, because he has lower cost, lower term, and can also work out of the bullpen, and Okamoto, who has a better hit tool? Stay away completely from Japanese posted players or just absorb the higher short term risk in 2026 with an eye on 2027 and beyond. So, first of
Quickly,
all, great question, Marcus. Thank you for such a thorough and well written question. Go ahead here, Matt.
before we get into it, I have a trade update. I believe it's a trade. I don't know what's coming back to the Cardinals, but the Red Sox just acquired Sonny Gray from the
Really?
Cardinals. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Um,
I don't like that.
Sonny Gray. Return package for the Cardinals. Left-handed pitcher Brandon Clark and right-handed pitcher Richard Fitz. So prospects.
Okay.
I
Do
just got the
you
notification
know
in the
how
middle
many
of the
years
question.
Sonny Gray is under contract? He has two more?
Um,
Maybe look that up real quick. This is interesting because with Garrett Crochet at the top of that rotation, Sonny Gray slots in as a very strong number two in that Red Sox rotation. And they already were pretty good when it came to starting pitching.
it does have, oh no, he waived his no trade clause, so he doesn't have his no trade clause anymore. Give me 1 second. Sonny Gray contract. Oh, I think he might be a rental.
Okay, free agent at the end of the year. This is a 1 year deal then?
I'm just loading it up. Oh no, there's a club option in 2027 for 2026 he's making 35 million. 2027 there's a club option for 30 million, and then 2028 he's a free agent.
Okay, so 2 years if they pick up the club option, 1 year if they choose not to.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good acquisition by the Red Sox. That definitely bolsters their starting rotation. I know that Sonny Gray had some ups and downs last year. When he was on, Sonny Gray was one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. And then when he was off, he was horrible. It was a really weird year for him. If you look at his splits, he was half the time when he won, he was like a 2 ERA, and when he didn't, it was like a 5. So he was either on his game or he was pure dog shit. maybe we get lucky as Blue Jays fans and we see the second a little bit more than the first. But
Yeah, he pitched a 4.28 ERA with a 14-8 record. So
mhm.
that does say a lot. A lot of strikeouts, 200 strikeouts, um 5.29 strikeout to walk ratio, which was the highest in his career. Um 10 strikeouts per nine, 1.9 walks per nine, one home run per nine, nine hits per nine, and a whip of 1.2.
And I mean, Sonny Gray has a track record. Everywhere he's gone, he has pitched pretty well outside of New York, of course, where Yankees fans still shudder at the name Sonny Gray. And maybe that bodes well for the American League East, in that Sonny Gray didn't really excel in the AL East.
I think he's gonna be a solid number two for
I think he's
Crochet.
going to be a solid number two as well. So there you go. Boston Red Sox bolstering their starting rotation. Let's get back to mailbag here. Marcus G talking Japan, talking 2026 with the Blue Jays, and how things bode for targeting players by this front office. Now, basically what he's saying is are they going to maybe take a little bit lower risk, lower ceiling Japanese players who are going to translate better in 2026? Are they going to go for the highest ceiling Japanese players they can, and maybe there's some growing pains that come with them?
I would
Matt,
s- I
go
would
ahead.
say take the ceiling. Take the best players on the market, the best options you have. And the also front part of this is 2026 a must-win year? And my opinion is no. I think there is a window, and also if and when Bo signs with the Blue Jays, depending on his contract, his length, that also either expands the window, shortens the window. I think the window is probably 3 to 4 years. I wouldn't say 2026 is a must win. Personally, I don't expect them to go back to the World Series in 2026. I expect there to be growing pains and somebody else who just buys everybody. But definitely locking up some big time names, some Japanese names, some American names will give the Jays options for the next 2 to 3 years and really have a good team that could win the World Series.
I think what's interesting about 2026 is there are so many intangibles that are going into this because there's question marks surrounding this organization as they move forward. Number one, there's a huge hole right now in their middle infielder, in their middle infield, in the fact that Bo Bichette is still on the open market. Where does he go? Do the Blue Jays need to take a hard left and reevaluate what they're doing, or are they going to be able to bring back their homegrown talent that was Bo Bichette, a guy who has cemented himself into this clubhouse as one of the leaders, as one of the core guys? Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and him are very close. Are the Blue Jays going to do what it takes to bring Bo home? And if they don't, what does their secondary plan look like? There's all sorts of rumors about Kyle Tucker and the Blue Jays being tied. There's all sorts of rumors about the Blue Jays being in on high end starting pitching. Does that happen through trade? Does that happen through free agency? Does that happen by going to the Japanese market? So, is it a must win in 2026? I would agree with you, Matt, that it doesn't really feel like it's a must win. Although I would say that the appetite around Canada right now for a championship team is at a level that we haven't seen since 2015, 2016. I
Yeah,
think the
I agree.
I think the best thing that this team can do is capitalize on that momentum and on the new fan base that they have acquired, right? Like there's a lot of new people watching baseball or folks who have gotten back into it after half a decade plus of not really paying a lot of attention. And I think if they can get back to the playoffs, this is a team with experience that can maybe go on another run. And I would agree with you. It is incredibly difficult to go to back World Series.
And
I don't know why I pluralized World Series
I'm
like
gonna
that.
use a good hockey example here would be the Tampa Bay Lightning. Back 2018, 2019-ish, they got swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round after being the best team in the NHL. Got swept in the first round. Couple years later, they go back-to-back championships, start an absolute dynasty, and it's all because they didn't panic that they lost. They didn't rush their process. They let it take the time to develop. They let their plan take place. And I feel the same with the Jays.
You're too
That
level headed here, Matt. I feel the opposite. I would prefer the example of the 2014 Kansas City Royals, who lost in the World Series, ran it back in 2015, bolstered their lineup, and still managed to hoist that championship into their rafters there at Kauffman Stadium. I do agree with what you're saying, and I think that if there is a bump in the road and they do need to reevaluate come 2027, that they don't panic, that they still try to acquire the highest ceiling players, very similar to the question Marcus was just asking, right? And I do think that getting the highest ceiling players you can get is always the way to go. Now, how does this look in 2026? Can George Springer repeat? And feel free to drop your comments, everybody. Can George Springer be the George Springer we saw in 2025? Matt, what do you think? Do you
it's going to be
expect
hard.
regression?
Excuse me. I think there will probably be regression, especially at the start of the year, mainly because of his injury in the World Series. It looked like an oblique. No idea what it was. It was something in his back, and back injuries for a DH at his age can be very detrimental. And he was playing through a lot of pain, obviously,
He
and
had
we
a
had no
career
idea.
year too. I mean, I anyone who has a career year in their 30s, even if it's 30, 31, I think it is safe to expect a little bit of regression. I do
Yeah,
think that George has it within himself to still be a very dominant player. Can he still put up an 850 OPS? I believe he can. I truly think that he can be a major cog in this offensive engine.
I think it's gonna average out. He's gonna find like kind of an average George Springer season. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be anything exceptional like last season, but it's gonna be an average. This is what we expect George Springer to do season.
I would love the grounds crew's opinion on this. Where do you think George Springer slots in offensively for this team in 2026? Is he going to be hitting leadoff, hitting 300 again? Are we going to see 30 home runs out of George Springer in 2026? The other guy that's on my mind is Addison Barger. Do we see him take another step forward, or do we see a little bit of a sophomore slump? What's everyone's opinion? Matt, what do you think on Addison?
He's a difficult one because there were many times last season where we all thought he's the guy, he's our guy, he has it, and then he slumped for a bit, made a good adjustment. So I think it's kind of gonna depend on where he starts the year. Of at the start of the year, does he need to make an adjustment already? Is he off to a hot start? I think if he's off to a hot start, has to make an adjustment midway through, he's going to be fine. But if he's struggling right off the hop, I think it might take a little bit longer for him to get going.
The other guy I'm really curious about is does Dalton Varshaw's power translate from 2025 to 2026? Is his approach and his swing going to be the same? Are pitchers going to adjust? Because he only played, I think it was 65 games last year, and he hit 20 bombs. So can Dalton Varsho hit 30 plus home runs? Can Dalton Varsho push 40 dingers playing 130, 140 games? I mean, that would be a huge positive for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, 100%. My big thing with Varsho, honestly, before the offense would be his arm.
Hmm.
And I really want to see that arm either back to what we were used back to a healthy, strong arm or move him over to left because definitely in the World Series we saw that there was some costly tag ups and some costly extra 90 feet that it did give up. which I'm
Shoulder surgeries and shoulder injuries in general, they're such a difficult thing to overcome. And I know Dalton Varsho never really had a cannon of an arm. He kind of ranked in that 30 percentile for arm strength, which isn't great, but it's acceptable in center field.
it'll
You know,
limit some
you
damage.
can work around it. But I think and I'm going on Patreon members here who have filled me in, but since coming back, he's around the 5 percentile for arm strength, which is not very good at all when you're talking about center field and the amount of throws from deep center that a guy like Dalton is going to need to make. So, yeah, some interesting stuff with 2026. Feel free to drop your comments and where you're at. Moving on here to Mark Drabert. We're sticking with Patreon. He goes, mailbag question. Do you have any favorite non-top tier free agents that you'd like to see the Jays go after? I'd love to see submarine reliever Tyler Rogers come in after Yasavage. Highest to lowest release points in the league would be so much fun. You know what's really funny, Mark, is that Tyler Rogers is a guy that I had kind of on my low tier list for that exact reason. And he does kind of fit into this front office's MO of liking weird arm angles that hitters don't get a lot of looks at. And so Tyler Rogers would really fit into this bullpen in that Nick Sandlin, Adam Simber kind of way. Now, Nick Sandlin obviously was released going into the offseason here. He opted for free agency after clearing waivers, choosing not to take a minor league deal with the Blue Jays. And there is probably a bullpen major league contract out there for Sandlin. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when it comes to how the Blue Jays fill out their bullpen. Did you have any kind of off the radar lower leverage guys that you kind of pique your interest in free agency? By the way, everyone listening, grounds crew, drop your comments because we'll circle back on this maybe in a week or two here.
The one for me, and I talked about it last week too, is Ryan O'Hearn,
Yeah.
from the Padres, because he's a free agent. He's left field, right field, first base eligible. He'd be a great backup to Vlad. Not saying Ty France was not a good backup, but I think O'Hearn is a better option. He is a lefty, so that might turn the Blue Jays away just because they're a lefty heavy team. But he's got power. He's got options for where he can play, and he would be an he'd be an excellent piece to have behind Vlad on when you need him.
I like that answer. I'm not sure if I'm as in on Ryan O'Hearn as you are, but it's not a bad name, and you can probably get him. He had a pretty good year last year. You can probably get him at a reasonable rate. Now, where does he fit in if they wind up with both Bo and Tucker? Maybe Ryan O'Hearn's not the guy if you wind up with Kyle
Yeah,
Tucker.
if you get both on genuinely, if you get Bo and Tucker, you're not going after O'Hearn. But as a lower leverage kind of
High
if
value, low cost guy,
yeah,
I
high
think he could
value,
be
low
that dude.
cost,
Yeah.
if stuff falls through, he would definitely be one of the guys on the radar.
Okay, going to, and again, sticking with Patreon here, going to Let's Get Gaming. He goes, long time no talk. I had PTSD from the Blue Jays blowing it in the World Series. Question for you folks. With Kyle Tucker, Bo being the main targets, who would you want more? Personally, I think it comes down to money, which Rogers has a lot of. Do you sign Bo for 200 mil? Cody Bellinger for a similar Santander contract, 4 to 5, 85 to 100 mil, and a combination of Pete Fairbanks and Edwin Diaz for around 100, 133 mil, split between the two, of course. Or do you go in on Tucker for the expected 400 mil and do the old Atkins patch up the bullpen with mediocre pieces to hope you catch lightning in a bottle? I'm content with the first option as it seems better. Cheers as always. Appreciate the off-season content. So, number one, no problem. You're welcome. We are going to continue whatever it looks like to make off-season content. I know we are going through some changes, but we are going to continue to try and put some stuff out. Okay, so number one, I do like that Let's Get Gaming isn't going into poverty franchise mode. He
Yeah.
is he is like, no, this team is spending money. Ed Rogers wants it, and I think we're going to see some big boy money come out. I feel the same way. You look back on 92, 93. This is an organization that led baseball in their salary. I think they should do it again. I don't think that they need to quite touch the Dodgers and the Mets, but if we can go from a number 5 team to a number 3 team, I'm all for it. It's not my money. You know what? Spend big, Ed. Be that ego billionaire we know you can be. No billionaire is better than you, Ed. Go out there and prove it. Bring a championship to Toronto. Now, as for these two options, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if this has to be a decision, do I want Bo or Tucker? Listen, my heart says Bo Bichette. My brain says Kyle Tucker. I think Kyle Tucker is the better overall player. I think you're going to get out more out of him defensively. I do think that Bo's bat is going to translate into more hits. I do think Kyle Tucker's power is probably in a range that Bo won't hit. I think Kyle Tucker can hit 30 plus home runs. Bo's never done that. Bo's speed has diminished, and so has his defensive prowess over the years. He's only 27, Kyle Tucker 29. His speed and defense has not diminished at all. So I guess if you're going to ask me what I think would be best for the Jays, I go Kyle Tucker. Now, if the parameters you set out where they get Kyle Tucker and they don't get the high leverage bullpen arm that they need, they don't get to patch any of their other needs, then I probably do lean towards your first option.
I see. I was going to disagree and say that Bo's the better option. Then you laid out all those good points. I do again from
Matt
my
and I
heart.
went to Buffalo to watch the Flames and the Sabres, by the way, everybody, last Thursday. And we had to talk about it's okay if we disagree more on the podcast. And I like that you're like, I was gonna take the other side, but damn it.
Um, I honestly, I would still kind of lean more to Bo. Um, I do agree that yeah, Kyle Tucker gives you more power, gives you more defense. He's got more speed. But one thing that I do like about Bo that does fit into this lineup very well is his ability to get on base,
Mhm.
get timely hits, and get hits through to all areas of the baseball field. So we
Like
already
Bo
have our
Bichette has shown, Matt, that he is good for 20 home runs a year. He's
yeah.
a 300 hitter, and he's probably going to challenge the hits lead in the American League.
And honestly, I think that that's what this Blue Jays team needs. We have the power in Vladdy, Santander. You could add Springer into that mix. Um, Bo would be a great contact guy of grinding out battles. He's gonna hit 20 home runs. He's gonna lead hits, but getting those timely hits in timely situations where Vladdy might be looking for a home run. Santander's a home run or strikeout guy. I feel like in a lot of situations, I'd much rather Bo with a runner on with Ernie on second, just hit a nice single up the middle, double to left, single to right. Just have that kind of small ball ability in the lineup as well as our home run guys.
Now, all of that said, I say this team doesn't need to make a decision. They were prepared to pay $700 million dollars for Juan Soto. I say you take that $700 million dollars, you go out, you get Bo, you get Tucker, you bring in a high leverage reliever who can close games out in the ninth inning of a World Series, and you spend a boatload of money and you call it a day. I'm delusional, maybe. It's possible I'm completely delusional, but you know what? I'm riding high off of this near miss of a World Series, and I think so is Ed Rogers. And I think if there's ever been a time that this team kind of has their fuck it moment where they just go outside of their evaluation and they overpay for some stuff, this is the year. And I love the idea of bringing Bo Bichette back. I love the idea of Kyle Tucker in the outfield. I think that they've lost out on some big free agents in the past to teams like the Dodgers and the Mets. And I think that maybe Ed Rogers takes his balls, grabs his ego, and says, I'm the big boy this year.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I agree. And also to touch on the Cody Bellinger part of this, I do truly believe with the money the Yankees saved with the Trent Grisham, whatchamacallit, the Trent Grisham contract that he just
Qualifying
signed,
offer. Yeah.
the qualifying offer. Yeah, I think if they don't land Tucker, which I don't think the Yankees are going to land Tucker, knock on wood, but
That they bring Belly back.
I think it's almost a guarantee that if they don't land the top outfielder, that Bellinger is coming back.
Sticking with Patreon, we got a couple more here before we get to the public side of things. This one is from Ian Elliott. He goes, I don't think Scooble is moved until the trade deadline. Pitching trades seem to get the best haul at that time because of competition. And I tend to agree with Ian. I know we were talking about this last MLB Mondays, just kind of touching on the likelihood of does Tarek Scooble get traded or not. And I think both of us kind of lean towards it doesn't make a ton of sense for the Tigers as
Yeah.
competitive as they are right now to move off of them. We could both wind up eating our words, but I know all of the baseball analysts are like, the Dodgers are going to get him. The Yankees are going to, someone's going to make a huge splash. I have a tough time buying that.
What I think is best for the Tigers and for Scooble is just a bridge deal. If do like a 3, 4 year deal, something small, and then well, not small money, just small term. And then once the Tigers' window for competitiveness closes, because they're right in the middle of it, of they have a very good chance to go very far. They just need a couple more pieces. But once that window closes, ship Scooble. And again, getting rid of a 2, 3 year contract is a lot easier than getting rid of a 10 year.
So I'm going to push back on you here. I disagree with what you just said. I think Tarek Scooble's 29 years old. He's coming up as a free agent at the end of this season at 30. I think he and his agency are going to be after the longest term, biggest dollar pitching contract in the history of baseball. And we could see how it breaks down. Now, listen, if Tarek Skubal wasn't quite as good as he is, I would agree with you. I think that that would work really well for both the Tigers and for him, kind of eat up the prime of his career and coincides with their window. That said, in my personal opinion, and maybe Tarek Skubal would argue this, I think the Tigers are frauds. I think they are AL Central merchants, and I think that this postseason kind of proved that. Now, they did take the Seattle Mariners to extra innings in game 5 of the ALDS, so maybe I'm full of shit here because the Mariners took the Blue Jays right to the brink. In fact, that was probably the best series that the Blue Jays had to play. Dodgers fans are hating me right now for
That
that.
was probably the best series of the World Series. Or of the playoffs. Let's be
That's what I
honest.
felt like
That
too. But
was
I mean, you know what? Also, game 7, 11th inning. I mean, that was a hell of a series too,
yeah.
right? So, um, just didn't go the Blue Jays' way. So, drop your comments below, folks. Where are you at on Tarek Skubal? Ian was again kind of mentioning he didn't think he'll go anywhere until the trade deadline. I think it would be a really disappointing and shitty play by the front office in Detroit if they move Scooble at this point, because you're not going to get back what you need for a Tarek Scooble. Are you going to get a haul of prospects? Yes. But will you get a haul of prospects at the deadline if they're out of it? Yes, you will. You'll still get a haul. Maybe not quite the same, but I bet you not that far off because at the trade deadline, you know darn well if a Tarek Scooble is available, that there are going to be some major players that are like, you know what? Maybe, and who knows, the Blue Jays could be one of those teams. But there's going to be contenders who are like, this is what it's going to take to push us to the next level. This is what is going to be the domino that falls that makes this team a true contending team, a true World Series threat. So we'll see how it plays out, but drop your comments. Where are you folks at on Tarek Skubal? Moving on here. This is from Beecher. This is a great question, and it does kind of embody how a lot of people feel about our front office. Now, I know that there are those out there who are like, you know what? Turns out Atkins is a genius. This is what they were planning all along, and I have forgiven all indiscretions. Now, I am a little bit in both camps here. I really like what the 2025 Blue Jays look like. Whether you like it or not, this is the team that the front office built. Yes, you can say things like Anthony Santander didn't work out. Their big free agent signings didn't really work out. But you also need to give them credit for the minor moves and everyone and the way that the team came together. You just do. I guess you don't have to, but I feel like you should. So this is from Beecher. He goes, "Hey guys, as happy as I am that things went as well as they did for the Jays in 2025, I still have very little confidence in Atkins and Shapiro leading this team. To their credit, the plan worked in 2025, and they caught lightning in a bottle and rode it all the way to the end. What worries me now is what comes next. Has Atkins earned a new contract, an extension? Maybe, but that should not be automatic based on a deep run. Are they going to rest on their laurels as the smartest guys in the room? I picture Ross and Mark saying, see, we told you that it would work. Or are they going to springboard off of this and build around this team? Some of that comes with changes. As much as we all love the guys on this roster, they may have to trade some of them in order to get the pieces they need to put this over the top. This is the most important offseason for the Blue Jays since 92-93. What do they do or don't they do will make the difference between this being a one-off memorable run to the World Series after almost winning it versus being a team that is true contenders in 2026. I remember being disappointed when Winfield wasn't brought back in 93, but that opened up the door to Paul Molitor coming in and being a key force for the Jays to win it in 1993. Let's hope these guys can shift and build off their success. Call me a skeptic until I see it done. Go Jays." So I really like this because he does give credit to Atkins. He's just talking about his true gut feelings, his true fears of what could happen here. Now, I will say this. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. did not get signed at the beginning of the year when he had his deadline, right? Everyone will remember Vladimir Guerrero Jr. said, a week out from regular season games, I'm done negotiating. Then we watched the regular season start, and he wound up not getting signed to that mega $500 million 14-year contract until middle of April. And I really do think what tipped the scale was Ed Rogers. Came out
Oh,
of the own
100%.
box and he said, listen, boys, I always let you guys do whatever you want. But in this case, I'm putting my foot down. We're spending the money and we're bringing back Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to be our franchise player over the next 14 years. That contract, of course, kicks into effect here this season. Does Ed, and I don't think we have the type of ownership that's going to go over Shapiro's head and start mucking around too much, but I do think Ed may go to them and be like, boys, this is the year where we act like the biggest fish in the pond. This is the year where you take my big, fat, hefty Rogers wallet and you hit some boys in the face with it, right? You show them who's boss. You go get your guys. I could be wrong. I could be full of shit. It wouldn't be the first time on this podcast. But that is kind of how I think that this front office is going to operate in the offseason. They're going to operate as the biggest dick in the room, if you will.
I agree. I definitely agree to that, but I do think that Ed Rogers is going to have some limitations
Of
of
course. And they
get
should
me.
still have some responsibility because
Yeah.
you don't wish to completely handcuff yourself moving forward. And honestly, being too bold is the sort of things that can create an ownership group to be like in 3-4 years, be like, we need you to cut payroll down to nothing. And next thing you know, we're a poverty franchise again, like they were in
And
the
that
early
is something
2000s.
That is definitely something that I am afraid of, and I would never like to see happen again. But I do agree with you that they're definitely pushing for you need Bo, you need Tucker, give them whatever the hell they want, and then figure out the rest. That's definitely through every source of media, through every source of reports. That's definitely kind of the vibe I'm getting from the franchise and from how this offseason is playing out. Is get us the top two guys, get us some big names, get us some big offense, get us some big moments, and we'll back you on it for sure.
Now, all of that said, Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins are very, very difficult to predict. The fact that they are tied to the most obvious names does make me think that they could have a big surprise up their sleeve. Is there a world where maybe they go out and they wind up with something like a Jose Ramirez? Right there, the Kings of Cleveland. Does Stephen Kwan still wind up on the trade market? And if so, the Blue Jays were rumored to be after him at the deadline. Is that still something that could be in the works? Is there an off-board trade target that maybe a team needs to shed some money and they're in on that? I think there's a lot of different ways to build a contending team, and I don't think that the front office for this Blue Jays organization is going to pigeonhole themselves into only one road. So, as much as I have been this entire mailbag been like, the guns are out, they're spending all the money. Who knows? There could be a very different pathway that still leads to the same sort of team, which is what we're after, a juggernaut, right?
And another thing that we also have to keep into consideration, yes, they did make some international signings last year, but they still have a shitload of international money
Mm-hmm.
that can be spent this year on any of the multiple Japanese players who are coming through and getting ready to break into the big leagues.
And who knows? We saw them go out and get that Ha-Sung Moon, the 18-year-old kid out of Korea. There are other markets that the Blue Jays are well tapped into, Venezuela, the Dominican Republic. So, you know what? That international free agent money could be put to good use in other ways. It is going to be an interesting offseason, and to try and predict it, I mean, that's what's fun, but I don't think that the way we all envision this team going forward is going to necessarily be how everything lands. All right, going to the public side here. This is from Instagram. Amy Porter reached out. She goes, "Hi, Scott. I have a question for you. I've read how teams around the league are valuing Bo Bichette and how his offensive numbers are great, but his defense not so much. There was another article I read about how the Jays might have to push past their comfort zone in order to keep Bo. Articles have also mentioned how Bo might not command as much or shall get as much as Vladdy due to how he is viewed around the league defensively. Plus, you are hearing names like Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger, Alex Bregman pop up. Do you think the Jays, without saying, are looking to move on from Bo and or have a plan B to make a big splash to appease the fan base very shortly afterwards by some big names to add to the offense?" Um, there's some other stuff here, but we'll wrap up there. She's basically wishing us a Merry Christmas and that she enjoys the podcast. So there you go, Matt. Okay, so I think Bo. I don't think they're planning to move on from Bo. I think that they would really like to bring Bichette back into the fold. Money's going to talk. It is a business. Bo Bichette was raised in the business of baseball. His dad was a major leaguer. This is all not news to anybody. If all things are equal, I do think it leans towards Toronto. So if the Blue Jays are going to match whatever the top offer is, I think that he comes back.
I agree. I 1000% agree.
Now, as for appeasing the fan base, if Bo goes elsewhere, let me tell you, This is not something that Shapiro and Atkins is known for. They aren't necessarily the two who are worried about what the fans are saying or appeasing the fan base. They're more worried about winning. Not everything they have done has worked out to a winning record. We saw what happened in 2024. All of that said, I think that Shapiro and Atkins are going to be incredibly aggressive this season, more aggressive than we've seen in the past. And I think that it's if there's anyone that they're prepared to maybe go a little bit above and beyond their evaluation on, it's Bo Bichette. They know who he is as a person. They know how he fits into the clubhouse. They know what he means to his teammates and the people around him in that organization. And I think that if there is a reasonable money difference that they feel they can make up to match, let's say, a Yankees or a Dodgers or whoever's offering the big contract, I think they're going to do that.
Yeah, that is 100% what's going to happen. And Keegan Matheson said the exact same thing. And truly, I trust his word because he's in the clubhouse basically every
Mm-hmm.
day. Of He said if the Jays have the tiebreaker. If there's any sort of tie, if there's I think there's probably a $2-3 million bubble where if it comes down to that much, maybe $5 million bubble, that I still think the Jays have that tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
That it's going to take tens of millions to really make him change his mind. And I think the Blue Jays have the advantage for Bo Bichette for sure, um as long as they're willing to spend on him.
Grounds crew, drop your comments. Where are you at on Bo? And I'd love your thoughts on Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins having a plan B that appeases the fan base. Do you think that this is something that they're concerned about? Moving on to Mike from the UK. This is also from Twitter. He goes, "Hey guys, just noticed yesterday." So this was a few days ago. He sent this in. Just noticed yesterday that Nick Frazo got non-tendered by the Dodgers and is now a free agent. Some of our fans thought a lot of him when he got traded for Mitch White. I guess Atkins knew. So Nick Frazo, high velo guy. This is a dude who throws 100 plus. He was in the Blue Jays farm system for a few years, drafted by the Blue Jays. He was the prospect moved for Mitch White. I know at the time there were a lot of folks who were like, the Blue Jays got fleeced. Nick Frazo had some hype around his name and he throws gas. This goes to show you that prospects are prospects for a reason. You can't count your chickens until they're hatched. And did the Blue Jays win that trade? I would say they also did not win that trade. That was a trade where neither guy really worked out for either organization.
Yeah,
So
I saw this question and I pulled up his numbers. He struggled last year. He had a 5.49 ERA, 6-1 with a 5.49. That's pretty good.
was this in
Um,
AAA?
yeah, this is in AAA.
So just a reminder to everyone, AAA is a very hitter-friendly league. So that
Yeah,
does have some things to do with it here. Nick Frasso also came off of arm surgery the year before. And there is, just keep in mind that there is always or tends to be that year of struggles coming back from a long-term injury like Nick Frasso did with his Tommy John surgery. So that probably plays a little bit into it.
but even going back to 2023, he's in like the high threes, 3.9 ERA in double A. Dropped it down to 3.30 for limited games in AAA. Um, his
Frazo's
walks,
problem has always been location, and
yeah,
that tends to be the case. So when you're giving up walks like he does, and then you're do wind up telegraphing one down the middle, and it's 100, guys are going to hit it out. So home runs and walks is a problem for Frazo, and hitting his spots.
home runs, he gave up 10 over 77 innings. It's not horrible.
No, but one every
Um,
7 innings. No, you're right. That's not
it's
horrible.
not bad.
No.
But 68 walks and 42, or sorry, 68 strikeouts and 42 walks is strikeouts were down significantly and walks were up
Yeah, if you're
significantly.
giving up 4 to 5 walks per nine, that's not ideal.
Yeah, 4.9 walks per nine.
Okay. Look at that math. I did that just off the top of my head. Not bad, eh, buddy?
Pretty damn good.
All right. This one is I love whatever she pipes up. Jenny at Jenny from the Rock on Twitter, Newfoundland lady who's been following the podcast for some time now. She goes, "Hey guys, Imai Tatsua came out and said he wants to beat the Dodgers, not play with them, and would prefer to play on a team without Japanese players already. Do you think this means the Jays could be a landing spot?" So short answer is yes. I think that the Blue Jays have a very good foothold on the Japanese market. They send scouts there on the regular. They have been in on most of the major Japanese free agents to come over. They've had Japanese players themselves with Yusei Kikuchi and what was the reliever they brought in there? I think it was 2021 Yama. This is the
I don't know.
worst. If
I just remember Kikuchi.
grounds crew help me out. 2021, they went out and they got a Japanese reliever. He did not work out, but everyone was pretty excited about him. They paid him, I think it was
Oh,
3 million a year.
I'm looking it up. I
Thank you, Matt.
I want it's starting to sound familiar. Let me find him.
All right.
Also, I do have sorry, how do I say his name? I don't know. Tatsui or
Tatsuya.
Tatsuya. I'm looking at his numbers for probably the first time, and I'm absolutely blown away at his
Yeah.
numbers from last year.
Oh,
This guy,
dominant in the NPB. Dominant.
it's crazy. 178 strikeouts to 45 walks.
Yeah, he is incredibly accurate with his pitches. He's got a wide range of pitches. I think he's got four pretty decent ones. Um, this is a guy who throws at a three-quarter arm slot and has been better every year. 27 years old, coming into his prime. I think that Tatsuya is definitely on the Blue Jays radar, and I think that this is a guy that if they can lock up would be very valuable at the top end of their rotation. Keep in mind too, everybody, that the Blue Jays are after pitching for the long term. Kevin Gosman's a free agent at the end of the year. Shane Bieber's a free agent at the end of the year. They're Rest of the staff skews pretty young outside of Jose Barrios. Now, there is a player option on Barrios at the end of this season for 2 more years at 24 million a year. I doubt unless Barrios has an outlier crazy good season, I would be surprised if there's anyone that is going to give him more than 48 million for 2 years. So I think that he's probably a Blue Jay long term for the rest of his contract. But did you wind up finding the reliever I was thinking about?
Um, no.
Okay.
The two names were okay, Hunjin Ryu, which is not Hunjin Ryu.
No.
But it'd be Rafael Delis. We got
No.
him from
They
Japan.
did get him from Japan. The human rain delay, Dolis, yes. Everyone remembers they anyone who was all hyped on the 2021 season still has PTSD from Rafael Dolis being the closer.
I genuinely don't see it.
Okay, well, we'll leave
Yeah.
this as homework for the grounds crew. If you could, somebody could save my butt here and remind me who the Japanese reliever was that they picked up in 2021. Again, he didn't work out. I think they paid him $3 million, and then it just didn't wind up being worth it.
I'm
Anyways,
looking up 2022 just in case we got the wrong year. No, neither of them have
just so you know, Matt, I'm not crazy. This happened.
no, I know you're not crazy. I'm just I can't fight. You move on to the next
All
question.
right,
I'm
we'll
I'm
move
doing
on
one
to
more
YouTube.
Google. One
We'll
more
move on
Google
to
and I'm giving up.
YouTube. Uh, all of this, I'll wrap up with saying, Ma Tetsuya is definitely going to be well sought after by numerous teams, and he is going to get paid a hefty dollar. My guess is somewhere between that 5 to 7 year term, probably 150 to 180 million. I think that he is the next big thing out of Japan when it comes to pitching, and hopefully the Blue Jays are right there with some of these other organizations in the bidding for him. Going to YouTube. This one's from Adam Hustler. He goes, I think y'all underestimating Jimenez. Okay, he had a down first year in Toronto, but he was our home run leader in the first couple weeks until injuries started to creep in. Just 3 years ago, he had a 297 average and a 250 um, the next two. Plus, he's also still young and growing into himself. I believe what we saw from him in the playoffs is more Jimenez than what we saw in the regular season. And I think that being teamed with Vlad, someone he did early tryouts with a decade ago, is only going to motivate him moving forward at a full health in his prime. So, everyone listening to this is probably bracing themselves because they know that I'm a big Andres Jimenez supporter. I think that he is going to be worth the money that the Blue Jays are spending on him. I am well aware that I have said this enough that if I am incorrect, I am going to eat a big spoonful of my own words. But I do really like Andres Jimenez. I love what he provides at the position. I really like how well he fit into the clubhouse. I do enjoy the fact that there's a guy at the back end of this rotation, this batting order, I should say, that can lay down a bunt. I know people hate bunting, but you know what? Sometimes when you need to move the guy up and turn the lineup over, a guy like Jimenez is perfect. I also think that because of his injuries, it's the first time we saw him not steal 30 plus bases in 4 years. He's going to steal again this year. In fact, my prediction on MLB Mondays was that he breaks 40 steals in 2026. We'll see. But I do think that there's more in that bat. 27 years old, going into his prime. He's showing he can do it before. Can David Popkins unlock something? I'm not saying that Andre Jimenez is going to be a power hitter. That would be ridiculous. That is not in his skill set. But can he take a few more walks? Can he hit more balls into the gap and run out a few more doubles? I believe he can. I think that the 2022 season we saw out of him, that's in him still. Time will tell. Drop your comments. Again, I'm well aware there's many Andres haters because you all think that he's getting paid way too much for what he provides, and maybe he is. Time is going to decide who's right on this. All right, Matt,
Yeah.
any luck?
Yes, I do have the player. So it was 2020, not 2021. Shun Yamaguchi.
Shun! Yes, there we go. Say
He
it again.
had
Sorry.
he had 17 games with the Jays, an 8.7 ERA.
Yes.
Um, struggled.
I yelled out just as you said his name. For everyone else again, what was his name? Shun
Shun Yamaguchi.
Yamaguchi. That's what it was. Shun Yamaguchi. Good research there, Matt. I really put you on the spot too. Made you shuck and jive mid-show. So well done.
I'm definitely a person where if I don't find something, it gets really annoying. And I was gonna get really annoyed if I couldn't find it.
Mark Ryan responded to Adam Hustler here on YouTube. He goes, the past 3 seasons, he's been a declining below average hitter. Players generally don't get better the older they get, compounded with injuries. So I will say this, Mark. This is true. You are making a good point. He is still young. He did come to Toronto, brand new location, brand new team, and he was injured the majority or at least half of last season. So I do expect him to at least be better than what he was in the regular season. And I do agree with what Adam Hustler said here in that he had a really good postseason for this team.
Yeah.
He kind of saved them in that Seattle series where the Blue Jays went down 2 games at home, going back to Seattle, being on the road, needing to come up big, and Jimenez hit in both game 3 and game 4 2-run home runs to put them back in the lead of those games. Massive moments, and he showed up big.
the one thing for me, and we talked about this when I was in Buffalo, is I want to see him make a major adjustment in 2026 because everyone knows, and it's the same issue David Schneider had with everyone knew it was a high fastball. Everyone knows with Jimenez, high and inside, he
He's
just
swinging
can't
and
he
he's swinging
can't get
through
it.
it.
He's swinging and he's not getting his barrel to it. He can't catch it, he can't find it, and that's I think if he makes that adjustment and takes that kind of that advantage away from pitchers, he's going to do just fine and he's going to have a much better year.
We're going to wrap it up there. Thank you, everyone, very much. Always appreciate you following along. Just a reminder, Friday is the final show with Adam Mack. I mean, I shouldn't say it that way. I'm sure I'll be able to convince Adam to come on, whatever this shifts into moving forward from time to time. But the walk off, as we know it, is going to shift and change. There could be a name change coming. We're going to put some content out over December and just kind of test the feelers and see where you folks are at. Uh, your opinion is very valuable, so feel free to shoot us a message if you'd like to see a name change and what would you like to see out of the show moving forward. I know one of my favorite things to do is interviews and have analysts and the guys who know baseball the best on and kind of give their opinions. I love talking to minor league guys and to the players like that. That's something that I'm going to continue to strive to do and to put out regularly. So again, blank slate here. What would you like to see? Content is going to diminish a little bit over December as it is my busiest month as a comedian. I'm on the road a lot. I know you've probably already seen that I've been on the road a lot this fall, and maybe the schedule's been a little weird for when we put stuff out. So that's just what's been going on. But again, a hearty thank you to all of you. Could not do this show without the listeners. I love making content for you. I love the community that we have wound up fostering and turning this into. And change isn't always well received, but hopefully onward and upward and all that good stuff. Matt, super appreciate you, buddy. I know that you've already informed me that whatever form this takes, you're along for the ride, and I appreciate that. And
Oh yeah,
yeah,
we're gonna have a lot of fun with it.
we'll figure out exactly what this morphs into. And again, your folks' comments and ideas are always welcome. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you on Friday. Adam and I are going to reminisce and we're going to have a really fun episode. So tune in. Cheers, everybody.